Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So we had another horrible week last week. In regard to unemployment figures, the week ending January 16th showed 900,000 Americans filed for unemployment for the first time. Once again, this is over 900,000 for the second week in a row. And the 4-week rolling average was 848,000 newly filed claims. In addition, we saw a massive spike in the number of new unemployment filings for Americans who don't qualify for traditional benefits. So these are the gig workers, self-employed people, and others who fall under this heading. And their only safety net is that pandemic unemployment assistance fund that I talk about weekly. That figure jumped from, it was just under 285,000 claims in the previous week. It jumped in 1 week to 423,734 new filings in the week ending January 16th. So it didn't just go from 285 to 423. It was 285 the week before, and then another entire 400 and almost 25,000 Americans on top of that filed last week. And there was also an increase in the number of federal employees who filed for benefits, as well as newly discharged veterans. So there were 3,139 and 1,249 new filings, respectively. All total, once again, we're at more than 1.3 million Americans in 1 week who became newly unemployed and filed for some form of benefits last week. Just 1 week alone. And it was over 1.3 million the week before that. It's insane. And I can tell you just anecdotally that here in California, business owners are refusing to shut down. People think that Gavin Newsom is mismanaging the COVID crisis in our state. It's not him. I'm not a big fan of Newsom, but I'm not going to put this off on him, because even though COVID is raging out of control and a majority of our hospitals over here are at 100% ICU capacity, businesses that I've seen and others that I've heard from, or I've talked to people that talk about business owners that they know, they say, no, we're not doing it. We have no intention of shutting our doors. Without government assistance to prevent them from going bankrupt, to prevent them from losing their business forever, they can't financially survive another shutdown. So they're remaining open. There are bars all across our state that are open. And people are in there, they're not wearing masks. Even with this new strain of COVID, people are just done with it. They're not taking it seriously. They don't understand the risks. So many of them are Trump supporters who don't wear the mask. Even the ones who do wear the masks are still going to these bars. The owners are still opening their doors to the public because they don't have a choice. Meanwhile, a report came out last month showing that 45 out of the 50 largest companies in the US made a profit during COVID. Yet 27 out of those 50 chose to fire over 100,000 employees combined. So rather than using those profits to make sure their workers had jobs, you know, that whole trickle-down economics bullshit that Republicans and even some corporate Democrats like to spew, rather than doing that, they handed those profits to their shareholders. They gave them outsized dividend checks instead. You're fired, but you get to be richer this year. That was basically their decision. So mega corporations like Nike and Coca-Cola and Walmart, PayPal, they mentioned Cisco, Berkshire Hathaway, there were a bunch of them, dozens of them. They doled out collectively billions of dollars in shareholder payments while cutting jobs left and right. And based on the analysis of the data, large companies laid off 9% of their total workforce, as compared to 7% that was laid off by small companies. The mom and pop shops, these independent contractors and small businesses, they are struggling and they laid off fewer people with less money to work with. Yet these behemoths that have so much money that they gave their shareholders mega bonuses this year, essentially, they had enough money, but they chose to be greedy bastards and get rid of the same employees who helped to put that money in their pocket. They chose to get rid of employees who will be paying down the national debt through their future paychecks. Debt, by the way, which exploded due to the mass giveaway to the wealthy. So one of the reasons they have all this money and did so great is because our government gave them handouts. It was socialism for corporate America once again. And we all get to pick up the tab. The same people they laid off get to pick up the tab down the road, and their children and their grandchildren. They weren't just handed money at the beginning of this pandemic. Remember, they got the money from the stimulus package. We already know that a mass chunk of that went to large corporations and companies that didn't need it. But it's also the huge giveaway from Trump's tax scam that was passed in 2017. That's also why the debt is so out of control. And not all debt is bad. We've been fed a load of BS on that too. But when you're handing it to people who don't need it, when you're handing it to corporations and it doesn't trickle down, and it doesn't boost the economy, it only boosts the stock market, which is completely separate and doesn't at all reflect the reality of what's going on in our economy, that is bad debt. So all of us get to pay that debt off, while these wealthy SOBs choose to tank the economy even further with unnecessary layoffs in the middle of a global pandemic. And then if you look at the bigger picture of that, to top that all off, you have small businesses who are going under at an unprecedented rate because they don't have enough customers to keep the lights on and the doors open. So many people are out of work, they can't afford to go out and spend money. And then other people who may be working, but they're fearful of maybe losing their job, or they don't want to go out in public because they're afraid of COVID. So they're not going out and spending money in the small independent businesses, these small businesses in their community. They're ordering everything online from the big guys. So these small companies go under. So then we as consumers, we have fewer choices. We're stuck buying goods and services from the same corrupt, greedy bastards because they're the only ones left standing. And we wonder why we have such a huge wealth gap in this country. We wonder why there's so much inequality and why people are pissed off, why people are out there ready to burn it all down because they don't see anything changing and they see the same corrupt corporate elites year after year, decade after decade. Don't ask why. We know why. Ask what they're going to do to change it. The days of asking what you can do for your country are over. They need to start telling us what they can do for us. What can our country do for us? All right, guys, as always, like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and listening. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.